All right, hello. God bless everybody. It's great to have you here. Today the topic is schedule the incredible. Now most people put more energy into planning their vacation than they do planning out their lives. That's why most New Year's resolutions fail before the end of January. Maybe it's also why some of our prayers go unanswered. See, success doesn't happen by accident. We can't schedule the miraculous, but we can schedule the incredible. You know, according to research by the University of Scranton, a staggering 92% of people that set New Year's goals never actually achieve them. And that's a measly 8% success rate. Why? Why? You know, there's piles of psychological research out there that prove that the people who achieve the most in life take a few similar steps toward reaching their goals. The people who consistently succeed always put more energy into the process than they do into the ultimate goal. Now, this might seem counterintuitive, but in order to reach a lofty goal, we must learn to take our eye off the goal and focus on the process. It's the incremental things that we do that make the big differences. Harvard psychologist Amy Cuddy says that too many people focus on the moonshot instead of the steps we need to take to get there. Quote, "A lot of research is showing us that we do much better when we focus on the incremental change on little bits of improvement," end of quote. Focus on little bits of improvement. If you have a moonshot goal of losing 30 pounds, let's say, or becoming financially independent, or being set for retirement, or finding your true love, or just completing a marathon, it takes millions of incremental steps to get there. What are we willing to do each day to reach our goal? And today I'm going to show you a proven set of steps to reach your goals from both the secular and spiritual angles. Plus, you're going to be able to see that it's possible to schedule God's help into your life plan. You can schedule God into your life, and we can learn to schedule the incredible. So now, scheduling God into our goals. You know, in that God's already supplied all our need according to His riches, Philippians 4:19, and He lives in the past, present, and future, Isaiah 57:15, and He exists for us, Exodus 3:14, we have very little to worry about, Matthew 6:25 and Philippians 4:6. Now we just need to figure out how to put in the incremental work to locate that prize and reach our goal. You know, throughout the Bible, we were all taught that God requires us to work with Him if we want to see the results. And the old adage, God helps those who help themselves, like my wife's grandmother used to always say, is true. You know, it's possible to schedule God into your life. Like 1 Corinthians 3:9 says, "For we are laborers together with God. We are God's husbandry. We are God's building." You know, we labor together with God. So what does that mean? Does He do all the work? Does God do all the heavy lifting? No. No. We're laborers together with God. Now, some Christians hate this verse because it in some ways puts us at the same level as God, which really isn't the case, but that's what they say. See, notice how Paul 3 times mentions God. For labors together with God. You're God's husbandry. You're God's building. And each one of those things is different. He mentions 2 demanding and time-sensitive professions. The profession of being a husbandry is in agriculture. And God's building would be architecture. Now, how much detail goes into being an architect? It's a crazy amount of detail, being an architect or an engineer. And what about a farmer? That's a lot of work. And it's time sensitive. You have to do something at a certain time or it doesn't get done. You wait too long, the seeds don't grow. You plant too early, they get frostbit, so to speak. So it's important. We're laborers together with God. We're God's husbandry, God's building. And it reminds us that we're fellow laborers with Him. Fellow laborers. We need God and God needs us. Now that's sort of a sobering thought. God needs you. God needs you. God is a pretty good workmate, I would say. He's the best. You could never find a worker that good. I talk to employers all the time, and they're always complaining about the employees. Or people who work in an office, they're always complaining about the people that work next to them. But you'll never complain about God. He's always on the job. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what about miracles? What about miracles? What about those times I felt helpless and God came to the rescue? Well, I hear you. I absolutely believe in miracles. I absolutely believe in God's intervention, angelic intervention. I believe that a believer can get revelation and say the right thing at the right time to me. What is that? Apples of gold and pitchers of silver. Word fitly spoken. We can say exactly the right thing at the right time. God works in a lot of people to bless you. But like I said earlier, we can't schedule the miracles, but we can schedule the incredible. We can't schedule a miracle. Now, a lot of people want to. Have you ever been asked to pray for somebody who's in dire straits? That's like trying to schedule a miracle. Now, you can pray for them, and many times it could work well. Sometimes it doesn't. Why? I don't know. But that's not the point of this teaching. We're going to talk about the things that we can do. I can't guarantee you're going to have a miracle every time you need one, but I can guarantee you can reach every one of your goals if you apply these 6 simple steps that we're going to get to. See, even when Paul was unjustly captured and had been incarcerated in Rome for about 3 years, it was a seemingly helpless situation. And he still had to assure the other persecuted Christians that things were going to go good. Now, being in a Roman prison was not like a prison that we think of. They didn't have legal rights like we do. If you're in prison in Rome, you had no rights. In fact, in some prisons, they wouldn't even feed the people. If you didn't have somebody that would come in and bring you food, you would starve to death. And they would hope you would, because they didn't want to hassle with you having to go to court. Imagine that, people just languishing in a prison till they just starve to death. You only heard about that in certain wars, typically. You see, but Paul, he said, "But my God shall supply all your need according to His riches and glory by Christ Jesus," Philippians 4:19. He wrote that basically in his 3rd year in prison. How hopeful would you be feeling at that time? Wondering if you're ever going to go to court. Paul had to be an amazing guy to ratchet his mind down. He did something right to have moved the word like he did at that day and time. Now, we all know that God said He's going to supply our every need according to His riches and glory. But in all but miraculous cases, we will have to do something. Usually many somethings to make it happen. So we're going to get to those many things that we have to do. And I'm also going to show you also how God is involved in each one of those as well. God isn't just there for the miraculous, He's there for the mundane. He's there for those little things that we have to do every day, those incremental daily changes so that we can be our best. We'd all like to win a gold medal. Everybody at some time in their life they thought, gosh, that'd be fun to be up on that podium, for something. Maybe for you for curling, or no, I'm just kidding. A hurdler, whatever it is, basketball, archery, shooting. There's a zillion sports in the Olympics, but just imagine standing there, bending over and somebody putting that heavy gold medal around your neck. That's got to be a highlight of those young people's lives. I once heard a professional athlete talking about the youths, young people, and he said that they put on the shoes, but they're not willing to put in the work to be great. You know, people think they can buy the equipment and that's all they need. They think because they watch sports all the time, they're good at it. It's not how it works. You can't wish you're an Olympian. You know, you have to work hard. You don't want to be an Olympian, you got to train like one. How hard is that? It's everything you eat, everything you drink. I've told you that story before when I took two Olympic hopefuls out to dinner. And one of them, the girl who was a sprinter, I bought her a beer. She told me she wanted a beer, so I bought her one. All of a sudden this guy walks over, this old man, and he takes it off the table. And I thought, who are you? And she goes, oh, don't mind him. That's my coach. I'm not supposed to be drinking that. You know, I mean, so he was trying to help her, sort of how God can help us at times. You see, so you know, don't just buy the shoes. Put in the work. You know, we work together with God, and that's how we schedule God into our life. So, you ever heard something as easy as 1, 2, 3 or ABC? Well, that's what I'm going to explain that right now. 1, 2, 3, ABC. We've all heard someone say it's as simple as 1, 2, 3. And then usually it's not. Like when some young person's trying to show you how to work the computer, right? They go, do click, 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 click. And then you're like, then they leave and it's like, what? You know, we also know that changing our daily lifestyle in order to reach a big goal has never proven to be easy. If it was easy, we would have all our need met. We would see all our goals met, but we don't. I know you don't because I hear you pray for all the same things over and over. Prayer is nothing but a goal for you. Doesn't God already know what we need? Yeah. So why do we pray? Well, part of it is humbleness. Part of it is gratefulness. I get all that. But some of it's just to set your mind. This is what I need. A lot of prayers you can answer yourself if you just get moving on them. If you tried to answer your own prayers, you know which ones, like financial and weight loss and all these kind of prayers like that. If you tried to answer those on your own, you would. You'd figure it out. There's always a way. There's some that we need God's help in. Certain healings or certain situations or, you know, I get that too. You see, this is where God and grit can be of great help in the 1, 2, 3 ABC. Successful people make reaching goals look easy. You ever met somebody like that? They do something, it's like, it looks so easy. They're making money like it's nothing. And look at me, I'm struggling and sweating and, you know, or they seem to stay in shape all the time and I get heavy and I lose the weight and I gain the weight and I lose the weight, you know, the yo-yo diet kind of thing. Or they seem to have a happy relationship and I'm working so hard on mine. Or they say they didn't study and they passed the test with an A. You know what I'm talking about, you see? And they make it look easy because they've already put in the time and they've taken these few logical steps, whether they knew they did or they didn't know they did. They still did it. And you'll see what I'm talking about. You ever seen a talented artist drawing a sketch and they make it look so easy? In just a minute they can make a caricature of you and it looks like you. Man, I'd be working on one line by the time they're done. The round head and little sticky arms, you know. But they make it look so easy. What about that basketball pro doing that 360 tomahawk jam? Boom. You see? It looks easy to them. They look like they can just fly. Then I get up there and can barely touch the net. Maybe the rim. You know, it's crazy stuff. What about an author who writes a book? And you think about that, and after that book, she seldom reveals that she sits at her desk every day at the same time, and she just types a certain number of words every day, good or bad, she just writes. That's what writers do. They just write. But they do it at the same time every day. You see, why do some people just seem more adept at getting their prayers answered? You ever known somebody like that? They want something, they pray for it, and boom, they got it. They want a car, they get it. They need a job, they get it. They need health, they get it. It's like, how do you do that? Could it be that they have complete trust in God? Could it be that they put action behind the request? They do whatever they can? Could it be that they already know that God has already supplied all their need even before they ask, and that all they have to do is their part? Well, probably all three, right? Prayer's multivariegated. The prayers, the points that have proven to be successful in helping many people consistently reach their goals are, and here's the first three. I'm going to say, see it, plan it, do it. So number one is see it. Clearly visualize your goal, your vision, your moonshot. 2, plan it. Write down a daily specific schedule to reaching that goal. The more specific, the more better. And number 3, just do it. Take deliberate practice with the intention of daily improvements and ultimate mastery. I'll explain these, but these are simple. We all know this stuff. But a lot of people stop at number 1. Then the next group of people stop at number 2. They envision it. They get their vision board. They cut out the pictures from magazines and they look at that and they go, how come it isn't happening? It works for everybody else. Well, then everybody else is writing down what they're going to do to get that. How am I going to get that boat, that piece of land, that job, that weight loss, whatever it is. They write it down. They figure out every day. Sometimes it's what I'm not going to do. Sometimes what I'm going to do, I'm going to work out every day. Sometimes what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to eat, you fill in the blank. You see, I'm not going to go to that restaurant anymore. I'm not going to eat fast food. I'm going to stop eating ice cream. I'm going to stop drinking beer. I'm going to, whatever. So you figure out what you're going to do, what you're not going to do. That's that schedule. You see, and then you just do it. And this is the hard part. That deliberate action, that deliberate practice is so important. Deliberate practice, with the intention of daily improvement and ultimate mastery. You want to get better every day. It's not just practicing. It's practicing harder. It's practicing to get better. If you just practice the same shot every day, if you're a hockey player, and you just stood there and did your 10 shots every day, same thing, you're not going to get any better. You're going to stay exactly the same. What do you have to do? You might have to put a goalie in there and try to shoot around him. And then put a good goalie in there and shoot around him. And then be moving while you're shooting, right? There's a lot. If you're going to get better, you got to practice to be better, whatever it is. In order to maintain that daily deliberate practice, in order to be able to do it, number 3, now we got ABC. So 1, 2, 3, see it, plan it, do it. And then ABC to go with it. In order to do these are the things we have to do. We have to practice grit or mindfulness. Now I know they don't seem like the same thing, but they are. And I'll prove that in just a few minutes. B, have self-compassion. And C, take self-accountability. And I would say that is probably the biggest of those 3. Maybe not. Maybe every person's different. Accountability. You plan on doing something. Well, who's going to hold you accountable? No one's going to make you lose weight, not unless you hire a weight coach, right? No one's going to make you go out and do a sales call. You got to hold yourself accountable. I'm going to do 12 sales calls a day. Or I'm going to, you know what I'm saying. You have to do that. I'm going to do this. It's self-accountability. So now we're going to go through these. See it. See it. Clearly visualize your goal, your vision, your moonshot. And see, God chose you for this dream. So make it big and make it clear. God chose you for your dream. Make it big, make it clear. 1 Thessalonians 1:4, message. It's clear to us, friends, that God not only loves you very much, but has also put His hand on you for something special. God has put His hand on you for something special. See, God chose us before the foundation of the world, Ephesians 1:4, and we chose Him through His Son, Jesus Christ. We had to choose God too. And the reason I say God chose this dream for you is because He knows what we want. He knows what we need. He knows what we're going to do. Would we even, we wouldn't even think about praying for something or having a goal if it wasn't available. So why would God even allow us to think that stuff? Now just think about that. Maybe that's a little bit heady, but if you set a goal, it's available to do. Now, if it's stupid like being king of the world or something like that, that's ridiculous. But I mean, talking about a real goal, God probably put that goal in your heart. It's something that you need or somebody you know needs, or maybe the generation down the road in your family needs it. You see? I mean, so God chose us before the foundation of the world. And these goals that we have, they're available to us. As we move closer to those goals, they're going to move closer to us. God shoves it this way as we move that way until you get it. You got to keep moving toward it. We wouldn't even think about or pray for that goal if it wasn't available. As spiritually minded people, we don't choose foolish or selfish goals. They may be specifically for us, like weight loss or whatever, but ultimately it's going to help somebody else, right? Sure it is. You live longer, you're healthier, you have more money, whatever it is. Have a piece of land, have a better car. I mean, whatever. It doesn't mean it's just for you. Your life is not your own. 2 Peter 1:3 says, according as His divine power hath given unto us all things that pertain unto life and godliness through the knowledge of Him that has called us to glory and virtue. He's given us all things that pertain to life and godliness. Do you see it? Don't answer that, but I mean, if you don't see all your goals met, I mean, right here it's saying they should be. God's given us all things that pertain to life and godliness. So everything you need to live a godly life and everything you need to live life has already been supplied. Okay, so how do we get it? That's what I'm trying to teach you here. How do you get it? Is it a vision board? Maybe. Is it writing your goals down? Maybe. Is it figuring out how to do those goals, work toward those goals every day? Yeah. All those three. So we've been given all things that pertain to life and godliness. And since we've been given all things, everything we're ever going to need, let's set our goals high and try to make them crystal clear. Let's pray about those things. Why not? Let's pray for each other too. Sometimes it takes another person. I didn't even get into that part of this. That's a whole nother teaching. Sometimes that other person is exactly what we need in order to reach our goal. A lot of people can't work out faithfully unless they have a workout buddy. It's just the way some people are. Some people, it's how it is. They don't want to work alone. They hate being in a cubicle. My wife was like that. She got stuck in a cubicle one time and she about lost her mind. Anybody who walked by, it was open game. If you know her, you know what I'm talking about. You see, I mean, she's not one, nobody puts Josie in the corner. But you get the point. And then some people want to be alone, right? I know guys who are marathoners and they won't run alone. They'll only work out with teams. Now, they usually do a lot better than me because I like running alone. You see, I love it because I have that private time and I can think. It's the only time in my life that I'm alone and and someone's not talking to me. You see, but these guys, they want to run and talk and fellowship, and it's a cool thing too. They join running clubs. Who cares? Whatever works for you. God's given us all things that pertain to life and godliness. Everything we need, make your vision clear. You were born to receive more than you could ever think or dream. Ephesians 3:20, doesn't it say that? God's going to give you exceeding abundantly above all that you can ask or think. That's what God wants for us, folks. Bigger than your dreams. The reason we don't see it is because we've just limited our thinking. People say, oh, don't dream too big. I'd say dream bigger. But then make a better plan. If you're going to dream real big, you better plan really intricately. And then the third point, you better figure out an action plan on how you're going to do it and show up every darn day. So second one is plan it. Plan it. You know, write down a daily schedule specific to reaching that goal. Now, it may not be, maybe you can't do everything you want to do in 1 year. Last year, I wanted to increase my income. And so I thought, well, you know, and I was sort of at a loss as to how to talk to more people. So I said I was going to talk to 12 people a week and set up 12 appointments, and I did. And then I said that I'm going to run every day, 5 days, you know, every weekday. I'm going to get up at 5 and run, no matter the weather, rain, shine, snow, or bitter cold, and I did it. And then I said I was going to read 50 books last year, and I did. And the result was that in one business I increased my income 2.5 times. That's not bad. That's not bad. You know, so the point is our life is all integrated. You change one thing, usually it's going to change something else. You make yourself healthier, it's going to help something else. Once you get he that's faithful in little is faithful in much, right? You're faithful in getting up to run. Now, I'm not saying, and most people hate getting up in the morning. I love it. If I could get up at 3 every day, I would, but then I have to go to bed at 8. And that ain't going to happen in my house. Some people can. I can't. You see? So, you know, so I get up at 5 and I go to bed at 10. But that works for me. You see? But, so you get the point. So plan it, write it down. Jeremiah 10:23 says, O Lord, I know that the way of man is not in himself. It's not in man that walketh to direct his steps. This is where we need God. See, God points you in the right direction. So design your direction. Figure out where you want to go. You're probably going to be going the same direction God wants you to go. Nobody listening to this thing is planning out evil stuff. I'm going to take over the world. I'm going to press the button. You see, I'm going to, you know, none of us are like that. You see, we're not going to do stupid things to hurt other people. So God points you, so those dreams that you have, those goals that you have, just got to plan it now. Put intricate planning into it. You see, the way is not in us. God knows the exact way to reach your goals. And if we're not reaching them, it's because we've veered from the path a little bit. We missed the path. We're off track a little bit. So all we got to do is figure out how to get back on. You see, God knows exactly how to direct us. God knows exactly how to talk to you. Did you know that? He knows exactly how to. God knows exactly how to talk to everybody on earth. Did you know that? Everybody. God even knows how to talk to the devil. There's a lot of times you see in the Bible where they do, read Job, you see a conversation in there. I mean, so God knows exactly how to communicate with every being on earth, even that cricket, even a worm. God can communicate. He can communicate with you. God can point you and does point you in the right direction. Now we just got to hang on to that vision and schedule it down, nail it down like an architect, put it down on paper. And now like a builder, now you got to build that son of a gun. You got to take that architect's plans and build it. God's the great architect, but that building something's not easy. Now you got to find a general contractor. You got to find all the subcontractors. You got to find all the people who are going to do all this work and get it done in a timely fashion. That's how you plan every one of your goals, folks. You blueprint it. You blueprint your goals. So you plan it, plan it, plan it. So Jesus knew exactly what he needed to do in order to live like the Christ, to become the Christ, didn't he? He could have chosen not to fulfill his calling, couldn't he have? But he chose to do it. God knows exactly how to direct us, and he also knows that we're just humans. He knows that you were just made out of flesh, like Psalm 103:14 says, and Psalm 78:39 says. See, God gets it. He knows you're going to blow it. He knows we're going to do dumb stuff sometimes, but he still gives us the inspiration and the direction. And that's what's cool. So let me see. The only time I was talking about reading the books and running, the only time I didn't do it is when I blew it was when I was on vacation. I couldn't figure it out. You see, I had planned on running up Mount Vesuvius when I went to Italy this year, and I brought all my stuff, my little running shoes and all that, and I found the little path, on Vesuvius you could run, but the more I read about it, nobody does it. It's just not done. Nobody jogs up that thing. And I thought, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to get arrested and thrown in some Pompeian jail, because I ran up that thing. Just people don't do it. And it sort of pissed me off. But I realized I was walking a lot of steps, so I wasn't too worried about it, having fun. You don't have to run. But I planned it, but I just couldn't. There's places I couldn't do it. In some places the streets were so narrow, it was just cars and a wall. And if you run, you're going to get killed or you're going to cause an accident. So it just wasn't, where I was, it wasn't conducive, especially in Sicily. It wasn't conducive to running. In Rome, you could. There was people running there. But I didn't want to. We were staying up all night talking, So, write down exactly what you intend to do each day, and it will take you towards your goals. Write down whatever you need to do that's going to head you towards your goals. And this is, a lot of people, they plan it, they think it in their mind, but they don't ever get down to putting the pencil on paper. Think of yourself as an architect, designing your building, and that's your life. And put in all the nuts and bolts and screws and 2x4s and I-beams and joist and roofing materials and, whatever to make that dream come to pass. Now, number 3, do it. Take deliberate practice with the intention of daily improvement and ultimate mastery. I'll read it again. Do deliberate practice with the intention of daily improvement and ultimate mastery. You should be getting a little bit better every day. Like I've said before, if you improved 1/3 of 1% every day in 1 year, you'd be 100% different. 1/3 of 1%. If you could change 1% every day, then in 100 days you'd be 100% different, right? So I know it doesn't hold true percentage-wise, but you get the point. And people do it. I often say, me and Josephine say, well, people don't really change. Well, actually we say that because people are frustrating and they keep staying in the same place, but people can change. They can take themselves out of a ghetto and become a millionaire. You see, they can take themselves off the streets and join the military and do wonderful things there. You see, it doesn't matter what it is. You see, now the third thing is do it. Take deliberate practice with the intention of daily improvement and ultimate mastery. You want to ultimately be the master of your life, or at least of that goal. I mastered getting up in the morning. I love getting up at 5 and running. I love it every single day. And every day I get out of bed and my wife says, be careful. Are you sure you don't want to sleep longer? And I think, get behind me. Every day it's the same thing. So, I know she just loves me. I get it, you see. But I just keep moving and head out the door and go, you see. So, and then here's what I thought about God. God shows up every day for us, right? So why don't we show up for ourselves? You know, God shows up every day, do the same. God shows up every day for you, do the same. Show up for yourself every day. This is the most important point, really, is show up every day. Show up every day. Show up every day. Do something toward that goal every day. Show up. Go to work. You see, 1 Thessalonians 5:24 says, "Faithful is he that calleth you, who will also do it." See, God called it, and he'll do what he has to do. So we need to be faithful, and we need to do it. You know, faithful is you because God called you, and you do it. Just do it. God put those desires in your heart. Doesn't it say that? God gives you the desires of your heart somewhere in the Bible? So aren't those your goals? Aren't those your prayers? Sure they are. So isn't he going to help you? Yes. Now you got to do something to make it happen. It just doesn't happen. I've tried that. I've tried to just let sales happen. And you know what usually happens? Nothing. My wife is talking to me again. Honey, this is another week. Let's get some sales going. You see, get out there, make it happen. You know, I remember I had one business one time. It was a service business, and sometimes it was just, especially at a certain time of year, there would be nothing going on, and it was really hard. It was hard to even buy a sale, and around the holiday season. And so my wife would say, we'd pray about it, and she'd say, why don't you just get out there and do something towards that business. So I'd go out and take everything out of the truck, clean it, put it back, you know, do all the maintenance, and then usually while I was doing that, the phone would ring, and I'd get a job. See, God as we move towards God, he moves towards us. As we move towards our goal, he moves towards us. He isn't going to make you blessed. You have to make yourself blessed. God's already blessed you. You live in a world of blessing. God's blessed us before the foundation of the world. We're surrounded by bless. You're blessed, you're blessed, you're blessed, you're blessed, you're blessed, I'm blessed. We're all blessed. You see, we're crazy blessed. You see, but if we don't see it, it's because we just got our eyes closed and we're looking the wrong way. It's bad training. It's laziness. I don't care, but this is it. Show up every day. If you're faithful in small things, you're going to be faithful in the larger things. Luke 16:10. You know, God inhabits eternity. He's in your past, present, and future right now. We've been given everything already. We just need to show up for our own life. We just need to show up and do it. Matthew 25:29 says, "For everyone that hath shall be given, and shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath." Now that is a great, if you had a Christian sales team, that's a beautiful one. If you're doing something with what you have, you're going to get more. But if you're not doing anything with it, you're going to have, that's even going to be taken away from you. I've been in charge of sales teams before, and when the guys weren't out doing it, then a lot of times somebody would take their territory away and give it to the guy who had a better territory. I saw that happen multiple times. You know, you just got to do it. Show up. Your psychologist, Kay Anders Erickson, a professor of psychology at Florida State University, has been a pioneer in researching deliberate practice and what it means. One of Erickson's core findings is that how expert one becomes at a skill has more to do with how one practices than with merely performing a skill a large number of times. An expert breaks down the skills that are required to be expert and focuses on improving those skill chunks during practice or day-to-day activities, often paired with immediate coaching feedback. Another important feature of deliberate practice lies in continually practicing a skill at a more challenging levels with the intention of mastering it. It's from Wikipedia. But Erickson had it right. Erickson had it right. It's not just performing a skill a bunch of number of times. Then that's like repetitive prayer that Jesus talked against. You hear yourself praying for the same thing all the time. That's repetitive prayer. Not just doing a religious prayer. It's still repetitive. There's a problem. Should be horns going off. When you see yourself doing the same thing all the time but expecting a different outcome, you know the answer what that is. It's the definition of insanity. You see? It's the same thing with prayer. It's the same thing with goals. If you're not getting results, then do something different. You have to change something to change something. Isn't that true? Erickson knows this, but he said it's not just performing a skill a large number of times, it's how you're practicing that skill. Are you trying to get better? Do you know the names of your machinery? Do you know the names of what you're trying to sell? Do you know that? You see? So it's improving those skills every day. Show up every day and make deliberate practice that you're going with, make it more challenging to you. Okay, you get good at doing 12 sales calls a week or 12 client meetings. Now do 15. And once you can prove you can do 15, then do 20. There's people who make 100 calls a day. I don't know how they do it, honestly. I just don't know. There's some people in my business that do that, and they make crazy money. It's just hard. It's a numbers game with sales, you see. So these next 3 steps are really how to keep your end of the bargain. So first one is see it, plan it, do it. Okay, we get that. We all know that. Now these are the steps that are going to make those 3 happen. So A is practice grit or mindfulness. And I want to say along with that, God's already provided. So become focused, yet still enough to find it. Become focused enough, yet still enough in your mind in order to find it. A lot of times we can't see something because we're going crazy. The world's spinning so fast. Everybody's asking you questions. Everybody's talking to you at the same time. You got phones ringing. You got Facebook notifications popping up. You got emails that need to be answered. You got all these things. How can you even focus? Well, smart people figure that out. Some people put their phones away. They turn them off. They have certain blocks so that they can't be notified during certain hours. Plan out your day intricately. But the key here is practice grit or mindfulness. Isaiah 50, verse 7 says, "For the Lord God will help me. Therefore shall I not be confounded. Therefore have I set my face like a flint, and I know that I shall not be ashamed." See, if you can set your face like a flint towards your goal, nothing's going to move me. That's grit. Nothing. Grit is the ability to stick to a task no matter the resistance, no matter the distraction. You see this in people living in war-torn countries or war-torn relationships. Dang it, I'm going to take care of my kids even if my husband won't. You see, you fill in the blanks. World War II, there's a lot of people that had to live in horrible situations. How did they keep their minds? Or people are having to survive in the wilderness, and they're freezing, they're cold. What do they do with their minds? You see, they set their face like a flint. I'm getting through this. I'm getting out of this. I'm getting out of debt. I'm going to drop this weight once and for all. Nothing's going to stop me this time because I have grit, because I have mindfulness. You see, you see it in all kinds of successful business people. I know people, if you want to talk to them, you go into their office, and right when it's time, when they schedule to see you, they'll turn around and talk to you. But they won't even say hi to you until they're done with that task and they turn around. It could be irritating, but that's why they're successful. They're just totally locked in and focused on their job. See, mindfulness is similar. Now you hear mindfulness in yoga and stuff like that, but mindfulness is a biblical concept as well. It's similar in it in that it's the ability to focus on something no matter the distraction. It's being mindful. You ever heard people say to be present? Mm-hmm. Well, it's the same thing as grit. I'm right here, right now. I'm present. Be present in your own life. If you're always thinking about that ultimate goal and always thinking about that, but you're not doing whatever needs to be done now, you're not present. Be mindful of who you are. Be mindful of your goal. Be present in your own life. You see, you don't just see this in spiritually minded people. You see it in every single pro athlete. They call it being in the zone. And they say the basket looks, like this big, like it's gigantic, and the ball looks tiny. Time slows down. They're in the zone. They don't hear all the crowd anymore. They don't see everybody waving balloons and trying to distract them when they're doing a free throw or about to hit or about to pitch, an important pitch. They're just focused. They have grit. They're mindful. They're present in their own life. Matthew 5:37 says, "But let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay, for whatsoever is more than these cometh evil." You see, in other words, if you're going to say something, if you say you're going to do yes, if you say you're going to do something, do it. If you say you're not going to do it, then don't do it. If you say you're not going to drink anymore, then stop drinking. If you say you're going to stop eating at McDonald's, then dang it, stop eating at McDonald's. Oh, I just felt like I needed it. No, you don't. You don't need it. Nobody needs McDonald's. They want it. You see, oh, I needed that ice cream. I had a bad day. No, you don't need it. You just want it. Find something else to comfort you. Or someone else. You see, it's not that, see, God's already supplied our need. We need to become focused enough to receive it. And that takes grit. It takes grit. It takes mindfulness. It takes staying present in your own life. And letter B, have self-compassion. God doesn't judge you harshly, so why do you judge yourself harshly? Doesn't Romans 8:1 say, "There's therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit"? That's you, folks. That's all of you. You walk by the Spirit. You're not trying to walk by the flesh. It's crazy talk. You see, there's no condemnation from God, so why should we condemn ourselves? You think you're never going to fail once you set a goal? Oh my word! Be thankful for every failure. When you fail, what do? You get back up. Isn't that what athletes do? They fall down, they get up as quick as they can. They fall on the ice, boom, they're back up. They fall in the mud, they get up. You make a mistake at work, you lost money on that job. Okay, I lost money, but boy, did I learn something. I will never work with that person again. You see? And then keep your word to yourself. Don't work with that person again. Get a better bid structure. We've all done it. I've lost my shirt on bids before. But the thing is, and I've made good money on bids because you learn. The key is learn. You see? So, have self-compassion, but don't put yourself down. You see? Brush yourself off. Get up. Keep moving. You ever heard the term fail forward? Fail forward. Fail forward. Fail forward. You're not a failure. You're just learning. Just don't do it every day, but you get the point. We learn more from failures than we do from successes, but don't put yourself down, okay? That's the key here. Have self-compassion. Now C, take self-accountability. See, God kept His word, so keep your word to yourself. Like Luke 16:10 says, "He that's faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. And he that's unjust in the least is unjust also in much." Jesus knew it. He had some guys that were really faithful that worked with him, right? And he had guys that turned unfaithful. They quit. They gave up. Turned them in. James 4:17 says, "Therefore to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin." Okay, now don't think of Christian sin with the big hair and the shiny suit. Think of the biblical definition of sin. It just means you've missed the mark. you missed your goal, which means you're not going to receive that time. It's all for you. It's not for God. It's not like, oh, I've sinned. I feel so bad, God. Oh, ho, 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 ho. We're not talking about that kind of sin. You see, if you know to do good and to yourself and you decide you're not going to do it, I'm not going to eat it, but you still do, it's a sin. You've missed it. You've missed the mark. So would you get back up? So that's as simple as that is. You see, so basically, take self-accountability. Take some self-accountability. Keep your word to your, God kept His word to you. Keep your word to yourself. So, some people will seem more adept at receiving. Some people seem to believe and have incredible abilities. Some people know how to get their prayers answered like crazy. Some people, it seems like they get all the breaks. All the good stuff seems to happen to them. Well, there's a reason. It's because they have figured out how to see it. They figured out how to clearly visualize their goal, that vision. They have a moonshot. And then they plan it out intricately. They write down a specific daily schedule toward reaching that goal. And then they do something about it. They do it. They take deliberate practice with the intention of daily improvement and ultimate mastery. And in order to maintain that daily deliberate practice, then we must practice grit or mindfulness. We just set our face like a flint, and we have self-compassion when we blow it. Because we're going to fail. And then we take self-accountability. Because no one else is going to do it for you. So really, that's the whole point of this whole teaching here. Is really, that's if we can do those 6 things. See it, plan it, do it. Grit, self-compassion, and personal accountability. Then we're going to be able to schedule the incredible. God bless you.